Today I've got the Wacom Pro Pen 3D. Except I'm not really a 3D artist. However, the extra button to me was intriguing, and I wanted to see if there was a way to apply it to 2D art and 2D applications. And we're going to go over it in a minute.
I ain't getting out of bed today. Keep waking up from the previous night.
Now I'm John, and I do reviews and tutorials on software and hardware that help in the creative process. Now join me, remember who you were supposed to be, by hitting that subscribe button, clicking that bell, and you'll be notified anytime I upload new content. Okay, because we're not getting any younger. In the box you're going to have the Pro Pen 3D. You're going to have the pen holder, which is that little barrel shaped thing. You got some things to color your different pens, some little rings and such, instructions. And inside the pen holder you're going to have a certain amount of spare nibs. If you collect enough pens, they come with these batons. You can strike an enemy at any distance. What? No, yeah, I'll pick that up. No, yeah, I'll do it right now. What's delusional mean? But let's not forget to pay the bills. Comparing it to the Pro Pen 2, which is pretty much the industry standard at this point, is pretty easy to do. Both pens feature almost the exact same things except for a couple different things. Now the pressure levels are 8,192. They both support tilt. The biggest difference comes in the fact that the 3D pen has 3 buttons, no eraser, while the Pro Pen 2 has 2 buttons and a pressure sensitive eraser. Now physically, while a lot different, they actually do share a common feature, and that is the sort of rubberized barrel we've gotten accustomed to with these Wacom pens. The tips are about the same, there's no give in either one of them, so pretty much, pen to tablet, you're not going to really feel any give in the nib for either pen. Opening up the pen holder is easy, give it a little tug, and you'll find the 3D Pro Pen inside. The Pro Pen 3D is really nice. It's just a little thinner than the Pro Pen 2, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you can see at the end it's completely flat, no eraser of any kind. The third button, the additional one, is a nice big one towards the end of the tip. I'm going to show you why that's important. Now inside, you're going to find your 6 spare nibs, and then you're going to find the nib remover. You just tip the pen in, hold it slightly, and yank the nib out. It's really that easy. Now comparing all 3 Wacom pens, at least from the Cintiq Pro line, we have the Pro Pen 3D in the middle, the Pro Pen 2 on the left, and the Pro Pen Slim on the right. When we get into specifics here, we're going to see the 3D Pro Pen is actually a tad bit thinner, believe it or not, than the Pro Pen 2. The Pro Pen 2 being the thickest towards the edge. Now the Pro Pen 3D is actually just a little bit shorter, even shorter than the total length of the barrel of the Pro Pen 2 with the eraser. Now obviously the Pro Pen Slim is the thinnest one and the longest one. All 3 pens share that rubberized grip we talked about, and across all 3 pens didn't see any kind of difference in the nib, whether they wiggled or not or anything like that, just like I said earlier. Now sometimes I get asked, John, why do you need so many pens? Because I like a lot of pens. Monday. In fact, Tuesday. I want all the pens. Wednesday. I want a different pen for each day of the week. Thursday. Oh, I'll use my Bamboo Ink Plus on Friday. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about, as I mentioned, sort of the weight of the pen. And what's different about this pen as opposed to the Pro Pen 2 is the weight is kind of at the bottom, meaning it feels a little heavier at the bottom despite being slightly thinner than the Pro Pen 2. And the reason I think this is good for 2D applications is I want you to look at a standard, inking pen curl or whatever. And you see really when you hold it in your hand, especially after you dip it in the ink, where the weight really lies, right? And that little bit of extra weight, I'm not going to draw against my Cintiq obviously, but that little bit of extra weight when you're inking helps the flow of the line. It's hard to describe, but you inkers out there kind of get what I mean. So you kind of get what I'm saying here, right? That button placement where it is, even if you think of a traditional old school airbrush, it definitely mimics the kind of feel. I'm not suggesting you use it as your airbrush tool, but you certainly could, right? That button being where it is, mimics that physical feel of an airbrush in your hand, or like I just mentioned, an ink krill pen. Out of the box, you know, your middle button is going to be pan and zoom, which is kind of convenient, okay? And I've set the big button to eraser, also very convenient. So I'm going to zoom in here just a bit. I'm going to switch to my eraser because I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit. You see what I mean? That's what I mean sketching. Now the downside of this configuration is that to change back to the brush, I got to go there. This, I think, is probably the most ideal setup. Now what's that crazy stand my Cintiq is attached to? That is the Zoot Professional stand. I reviewed it. Link up above if you want to check it out. I've got my brush. And now I'm going to switch to the eraser because I want to take that guideline out. And then this is pretty good with the obvious downside of, you know, I can't zoom in or etc. But as you see, I have my Cintiq remote here that I turned off. So I can kind of keep going. Now this is the touch model as well. So I have multiple ways in. I understand not everybody has touch, but between the two, I found for sketching, this is very ideal, meaning I found a good use to have that button there. And I know that some people prefer the eraser. I never did, only because I got to switch the pen. Feels a little different to me. I just like it this way. So hopefully that helps. Okay, we got our first inking setup here. Okay, and I just have a regular ink brush on. And what I have, if you notice here, is I'm swapping foreground and background color. Okay, the reason behind that is a lot of times, you know, especially traditional inkers, a lot of people are using different whiteouts now and Presto and that kind of stuff, is it gives you the ability to do that on the fly. Okay, so it's not an erase, but it's more for effect. Now the back button is going to be right click. We're not going to be changing that in this video. But the middle button here is going to be undo. Okay? So you see, if we're doing, let's start bats here. Oh, see, I don't like that line. So we'll just get rid of it. I don't like that line. You guys get the point, right? So when I switch to white, all of a sudden, I can easily make these type of white effects that you're used to seeing in traditional art. Also helps, obviously, you can smooth out lines a little bit, but you can see that basic application, right? Again, undo, and then swap foreground and background. Now this syncing setup is all built for navigation, so people who don't really switch off from the brush and they want to use the keyboard as minimal as possible. So what we have here is we have the zoom and pan is set back again right on the middle button, and then we have rotate. Okay, again, we're assuming that not everybody has a touch model. You can see very quickly how that button comes in handy. Right? I can zoom way in and way out, and I'm basically using that button towards the end for rotate. I really don't have to touch anything unless, of course, I need an undo, and then, you know, we have various different gestures or the express key remote, or we have, you know, a standard keyboard for that. And you do that by going to the edit menu. You're going to scroll down to the menu you want. Okay, so what we want is this guy right here. Just create a quick shortcut. What I've done is I've set the middle button to rectangle. Okay, I've set this button to warp. So we can just move this around any way we want. And the downside being you'll need keyboard shortcuts to deselect. But I'm gonna add to my last option, and the goal of this was to, show you a few different ways you could use that third button in an inking. I'm sure, you guys in the comments below, use your imagination, let me know what you think as far as inking applications. And we'll move on real quick. One last tip for colorists. All right, let's see this in practice here. Say we lay down some flats on Batman's face and we don't like it. So we're gonna put these new shortcuts to use. And I've got my brush tool selected. And now I can Alt, right, just like that, and select that new skin color. Or I could bring up the foreground color picker and pick what I want. Now the only downside is we have to go back to the brush, obviously, if we want to paint, or if we have our keyboard or what have you. Again, I'm trying to stay away from using the express key remote just to kind of get the point across. Now I got to give credit where credit's due. When I went to go do the color part of the video, I actually sought the help of K. Michael Russell, aka Color with Kirk. Now I'm going to link his YouTube down below, and I wound up getting these tips from him and his minions on his Discord. You want to check this guy out. He's one of the top people in the game for, digital coloring courses and such like that. The guy has a great YouTube channel. Everything there is for free. Check his channel out if you're getting started in digital comic coloring, or you're intermediate, or even you're advanced. This guy's got a tip that probably you have never seen before. So what are my closing thoughts on this? I mean, is this a must-have? Of course it's not. But as digital artists, it's nice to have different things in our digital toolbox, so to speak, for when we want to do different things. And I found the Pro Pen 3D for a non-3D artist completely useful in 2D applications. In fact, I actually prefer it, when inking now because of the weight, as I mentioned earlier. So do with that what you will, but I'd like to see what you guys think about it, including 3D artists. If you guys want to post down below. One of the main purposes of the video was to give you a couple of different examples, and I'd like to see what kind of customization options you guys come up with, because I'm always curious with that kind of stuff. So hopefully you like this video, and hopefully you'll leave comments below and hit the like button and let me know what you think, and check me out next time. Thank you for watching.